Hello, I'm Keith, and this is my dad, Kerwin. Welcome back to Father and Son, a Star Wars podcast.
Thank you very much. This is episode 14 of Star Wars The Bad Batch, titled War-Mantle. Keith, just to remind our audience, please tell us, what is War-Mantle?
Right, so for those of you who don't remember, Project War-Mantle was the phasing out of clones and replacing them with stormtroopers, humans, basically.
Yes, and this is a project that is being led by Admiral Rampart, correct?
Right.
Okay, let's get into the story. Now, it starts off with a clone trooper being followed by other clone troopers. Now, immediately we thought it might have been Captain Hauser, because the last time we saw Captain Hauser, he was imprisoned by the Empire and we didn't know his fate. So we thought maybe he might have broken out and now he's on the run. But it turns out that it's another clone. We don't know which clone it is, but the clone gets captured. But right before he gets captured, he does manage to leave a homing beacon. Okay, so he's captured and he's taken away by the clone troopers. Next scene, we see the Marauder in space. The Bad Batch crew gets a call or a hologram message from Captain Rex. Captain Rex comes on and says, "There's a clone. He's a friend of mine. He's in trouble. I need you to go help him. I gotta go." You know, something was going on at the time, and the hologram shuts off. And Hunter is kind of wary, like, I don't have much information to go on. I don't know this, what is this all about? And Echo says, well, does it matter? It's coming from Rex. So if Rex is asking us to do this, it must be important, correct?
Right. Like he wouldn't call unless it wasn't urgent.
Exactly. Okay. So the Bad Batch head to the planet Daro to find this clone. When they land, you know that Hunter has this keen sense of awareness. He picks up a scent of the clone scent, and that leads them to a mountain. Now, out of precaution, he asked Wrecker to take Omega back to the ship and leave her there. She was not happy with that, but they went back to the ship, the two of them, and then Tech, Echo, and Hunter went off to the mountain. Now, they couldn't see anything from the outside of the mountain, so the next step was to go up the mountain. So they climb up the mountain, and when they get to the top and look over, they realize they're looking at a military base, an Imperial military base. And you know what that base reminds me of? It looks exactly like the
Death Star.
It looks exactly like the Death Star. So I wonder if, maybe the blueprints, these are the blueprints that was going to be used eventually to create the Death Star. Because when I looked at it, I said, this is the Death Star. And the other thing too, if you noticed, if you were listening to the music that was being played during the scenes, you can hear the Imperial theme from A New Hope. All right. Okay, so now we're in the Death Star, and the Bad Batch have done this before. They're very good with breaking people out of prison.
They do it all the time.
They do it all the time. It's like secondhand nature to them. They go in, they find the clone, and they release the clone. Now they need to escape. And of course, things don't always go well. The alarms are going off, and they're being chased by clones. They're not being blasted, but they're actually getting, stunned. But during the race or the trying to leave, the clone identifies himself. And it turns out that this clone, we recognize the name, is Gregor. Tell us, who is Gregor?
So Gregor was a clone trooper who was in the Clone Wars. There was this mean guy who worked at Power Sliders Diner. He was a Solstice, and he found Gregor and made him work as a dishwasher. And then he escaped.
Okay.
And then we see him in Rebels with Captain Rex and Commander Wolf.
Well, that's true, right? Yeah, many years later.
Like 15 years later.
15 years later, Gregor does appear along with Wolf and Captain Rex. Now, I guess the only thing that we don't know is, we do know that, like you said, Greg was working as a dishwasher, but exactly how he got from there at the diner to where he is now in the episode, we're not sure. We'll need to do some research. But let's get back to the story. So they need to escape. The Bad Batch and Gregor, they need to get out of there, get out of that mountain. Gregor tells them the only way to go is up. So they take a turbo lift, right, up to the top where there's an exit door, an exit door for the mountain, right, for them to exit. Now, what they
So
go ahead.
they Wrecker and Omega bring the ship around, right?
That's right.
And they rescue everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is Tech and Gregor, they get on, but then the ship ends up being blasted out, so Tech has to turn it. Echo made the jump already, so Hunter is the only one left, and he's trying to make the jump while the ship is turning, and he slips and falls.
Right. Now, can I go back and explain it a little bit more? So Wrecker, it's Wrecker and Omega. Omega, is behind, is piloting the ship, and she's learning her way around flying the ship. And she brings it around. And then, like you said, Tech is the first person to jump. The idea is to jump from the mountain onto the ship. Tech is the first one to make the jump. He takes over as a pilot on the ship, right? And then Gregor makes the jump. And then they're being fired upon. There's these they look like they might have been early models of TIE fighters, the Imperial fighters were coming after them. All right. So they're under attack. So Tech pretty much has to circle around and then come back and get the other two, Echo and Hunter.
Right.
Now, when he comes back, he's ready to get Echo. Echo makes the jump. He gets on. But the time when Hunter is ready to make that jump, there are more Imperial ships coming. They're being fired upon. The Marauders being fired upon. What Tech does is tilt the ship so that the ship doesn't get hit. But in the process, Hunter makes the jump and he grabs hold of the stairs and he loses the grip and falls. And when we saw that, like our heart jumped, like, oh, what is going on here? Yeah. And, he's falling, but, there's tree branches, he's, rolling down the hill and, the branches break his fall and he lands on the ground and he seems to be okay. All right. Now, I want to stop here and talk about Hunter. This, to me, is what leadership looks like. All right. So there is a quote from Star Trek. All right. So we're talking about Star Trek on a Star Wars podcast. It may not be the last time, but this is important. So when I saw this and the decisions that Hunter made, it reminded me of a quote when I first heard it in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. I never forgot it. So the quote goes, "The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one." Do you have any idea what that means? What do you think it means?
I have no idea.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to explain it to you. So the idea is that a person sometimes want to make the sacrifice of saving other people before they save themselves. All right. So to talk about what happened in the film, I know you haven't seen Star Trek II, but what happens in the
Star
film,
Trek in any case.
Right, you're right, any Star Trek films. But what happens in Star Trek II, there is a character that actually sacrifices his life to save others, right? So the others is the many, all right? The needs of the few or the one was a person who gave up their life to save other people. Now, if you take a look at the episode that's happening here in the Bad Batch, you see that Hunter wasn't the first person to make the jump, right? Okay, so it was Tech, and then it was Gregor, and then Echo, and he was the last one. And you know why he was the last one? Because he's a leader. He knew that it was more important for the lives of his team to be saved over his. So he made the jump last. And unfortunately, what happened to him is that, like you said, he missed the jump and he fell down to the ground. Now, when he fell, we didn't know if he was in any pain or what have you, but he clearly could have, got on his comm and say, "Hey guys, I'm hurt. Come back and get me." He doesn't do that. What he does is, he signals the ship and tells them to go and leave me, get out of here. All right. And Tech says, "Well, we're not going to do that because the chances your survival is very slim." And Omega doesn't want any of it. She says, "Hunter, order us to come back to get you." And you know what Hunter's response was? He said, "I can't do that." He was putting his life, right? He was putting the lives of his team members before him. So we didn't, we don't know what's going to happen to Hunter, but it was most important to him to save the lives of many over the one, him.
Mhm.
So that's the lesson that I got from this, right? And that to me is a sign of a great leader. And I applaud Hunter for making decisions that he made today, made in that episode. I thought was fantastic. That is what a leader looks like. So now let's continue the story about Hunter. He's now surrounded by clone troopers. And oh, by the way, there was something very important that I forgot to mention. When the batch was making their escape, they had some, they were battling with some of the clone troopers and he subdued one of them. They managed to remove the helmet. And then what did we find?
Found out that, these were not still clone troopers.
That's correct.
They were like humans.
They were human
so
recruits.
they've already started bringing in troopers.
There you go. So the more clones are being replaced. So it's happening, right? War-Mantle. All right, there you go. So now back to Hunter. He is surrounded by clone troopers and he's taken away and he's put back into the same prison where he just, broke Gregor out of. And who comes to pay him a visit? Crosshair came up to the door, took off his helmet. Hunter says to Crosshair, well, I knew you'd show up. And Crosshair says, I wanted the entire group, but you'll do. And that's how that storyline ends.
I don't know what that means.
Well, we don't know either. We're going to have to find out. Now, let's talk about the Kaminoans.
Ooh, yes.
Let's talk about the Kaminoans. All right. So it has been a while since we've seen the Kaminoans.
It's been 5 episodes. I've been
counting. All right. 5 episodes. Okay. We have Lama Su and Nala Se. They go into, I guess it's the Prime Minister's office.
Right. And Lama Su announces that the Empire has canceled all the contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Contracts.
Yep.
Think of it as somebody having a credit card and then the person who owns the credit card cutting the credit card in half.
There you go.
Like the credit card company just snip cuts the credit card in half.
That's right. You can't use that credit. You have no credit. That's right.
You have no credit card.
Exactly. You have no credit.
And no money.
And nothing. So you know what this means? I mean, we talked about this weeks ago that this is their livelihood, creating clones.
Yeah,
so if they're not
cloning is their bread and butter, basically.
Exactly. So if they're not creating the clones, what else they're going to do to make money?
Yeah.
Now, in addition, you want me to continue? You good? Okay. So I'm going to say that in addition to this, the Prime Minister, Lama Su, did I get that right? Lama Su?
Yes.
All right. Lama Su.
You got it right.
There you go. Right. Lama Su fears for the lives of himself and Nala Se and says to Nala Se, go grab your things, grab your essentials, and we out.
Yeah, and more importantly, see if you could get any of the other Kaminoans to join.
Right. Okay. So then that ends that scene. Now, later on in the episode, Lama Su is in his office and he gets a visit from Admiral Rampart.
Right. So it turns out Rampart finds out about the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And, he brings in Nala Se, who's with the armed troopers.
Yes.
So Lama Su puts on the show where he pretends that he had no idea that Nala Se was trying to pack up and recommends that she should be punished.
Yes.
But Rampart says that he has use for scientists, but not politicians.
Mm-hmm.
So Rampart and Nala Se leave, and then the Prime Minister is left behind with 2 armed troopers.
That's right.
And the door is shut, and the episode is over, basically.
Right, and their episode is over, for at least for this part. So we don't know the fate of Lama Su, but he was left in an office with 2 armed troopers, okay? And Nala Se walked away with Rampart, So
now the question is, like the question of the week is, did Nala Se set up Lama Su? She talk to Rampart and tell him that Lama Su is trying to pack his things and get off the planet, but was she just caught in the act of trying to pack her things?
I like that. That's a very good question. Let's talk about that. What do you think? Do you think Lama Su Nala Se set up Lama Su?
Well, they do say it's a dog-eat-dog world. So technically,
Yeah.
yes, she probably did.
Uh-huh.
Because if you remember in episode 9,
Mhm.
Bounty Loss, Nalse and Lamasu had conflicting points of view.
That's correct.
So Nalse had one agenda and Lamasu had another, and they don't agree. So Nalse might have set up Lamasu for the greater good of Omega.
Wow, how about that? That's right. And that was her priority, right? What's going to happen to Omega? So, just to backtrack, if people don't remember that episode, Lamasu wants Omega for her DNA, right? And then once they extract whatever DNA that's needed from Omega, then his orders were to have Omega terminated. Nalase did not like hearing that. So I think, my opinion, I'll ask you your opinion as well, that did not sit well with Nalase.
Yeah.
And that she was waiting for an opportunity to get back at Lamasu. And this was her moment. And I do think, yes, she did set up the prime minister to fall.
It really makes sense.
To take the blame for trying to flee from the empire. So what do you think? What is your opinion of it? Do you think she set up the prime minister?
Yeah, that really makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it seems clear to me that, she needed an opportunity, like I said, to get back at the prime minister, and she did. And she walked away. Is the prime minister going to walk away? We don't know. Or he may be carried out. Who knows? We don't know. Yeah. But
he's probably going to end up in a prison cell at the beginning of episode 14.
You never know.
I mean, 15.
You never know. But
we've only got 2 episodes left.
That's correct. That is correct. Now,
and I'm fingers crossed we get something good.
Yes, and we still don't know at this point whether there's going to be a season 2 or if the season finale, if the series is going to be wrapped up in the next 2 episodes. But boy, oh boy, I can't wait. This was a very good episode.
I'm really hoping that there will be a season 2, because I just can't see them wrapping up an entire show like this with just 2 episodes left.
Yeah, there's still many questions left to be answered. So we'll see what happens, okay? But this was a well-done episode. Kudos again to Hunter, showing what leadership is all about, and the Kaminoans showing what backstabbing is all about.
and Rampart showing what happens when you betray him.
Yes, right, yeah.
And Crosshair doing whatever mysterious things he does.
Crosshair just being Crosshair, So let's wait and see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. But this was a very, very good episode. As you can tell, we were, enjoy talking about it. That is it for this episode. Can you please tell everyone where they can find us?
Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Radio Public, Amazon Music, and Audible.
All right. And we're also on YouTube. Please subscribe to our channel. If you know anyone who is a Star Wars fan and is interested in hearing about Star Wars, please bring them to our channel. Thank you.
Right.
All right. Anything else?
Nope. Bye, everyone.
All right.
Oh, wait. Twitter and Facebook.
Right.
And Instagram.
Yes.
We're on all 3 of those platforms.
That's right. And we have a new email address, right?
Right. Our new email address is...
Well, I'm sorry. Not an email address, but a website.
Oh, yes.
Yes, we have a new website.
We have 2 things. One is our new email address, which you'll see in our end card.
That's correct.
And second is our brand new website. Feel free to check out our website at bothersomegalaxy.com. We now own the domain. So.
All right. Wonderful. Wonderful news. Okay. So, things are going well for us. We can't wait for the next 2 episodes. Thank you very much for joining us today. And until next time, we will see you again.
Bye.